2, 1.
Welcome to Made for More Living.
One small step for man.
With Johnny Jennings.
Kick the tires and light the fires, Big Daddy.
The fastest and most exciting hour of news, events, and real estate in Northern California.
And this is a fact that was proved.
Powered by EXP Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
Does everybody know what time it is?
Get ready. Here we go.
Matt, I don't know if you knew this, but...
Probably not. My wife says I don't know much.
Okay, well, she's not wrong, but my wife says the same thing. But I am co-host of one of the largest networking mixers in Sacramento.
I remember you doing a show about that.
Yeah, with Trevor. Trevor was on here. Yeah. So Trevor was on here. We were promoting that show or that mixer.
And it's more than just like a network mixer. It's like a party. It's like a nightclub event, correct?
And yeah.
Okay.
It's held at the Mix. Typically, it's held at the Mix, and typically there's anywhere around 1,000 plus people register. 700 people show up. It's a good time.
No dancing going on.
Oh, there's tons of dancing.
Oh, is there really?
Yeah.
I'll have to get some video footage of that.
Sometime.
You guys doing the Donald Trump YMCA dance?
I am not. There is dancing. I am not dancing. But yeah, it's a good time. So we have a DJ. We have there's food. It's a full bar. There is a cigar roller.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's a fun time. But at that event, that most recent one that I did with Trevor. That is where I met today's guest, David Webb. And so I was standing around just looking for somebody to talk to. And I don't even know how do we get introduced? Were we just standing in a group? Like, how did that work, David?
You were in line for the cigars, right?
We were in line for the cigars, yeah.
No, yeah. I was just working the room.
Yeah.
And I met you.
What does that mean, work in the room?
Work in the room.
Describe that?
Yeah, so me and my business partner, Morgan, were at that networking mixer, and typically we'll go up to someone, we'll spend less than about 30 seconds finding out what they do, their interests, and the vibe, and then if we want to continue the conversation, if there's value there, kind of like an asset, we'll stay. If not, then we shake hands, move on to the next person.
That guy was superficial. 30 seconds and he's out of there. Well, I was interested.
We ended up talking longer than 30 seconds, so I guess I passed the test.
There you go.
Yep.
But yeah, so very, very efficient in their strategy. But the reason why you're on the show today, David, is because you captivated my attention with this company that you have called Low Prop Tax. You mind just sharing briefly, like, what is Low Prop Tax?
Yeah, so Low Prop Tax is a company that essentially it saves people on their property taxes. It gives people assurance that they're paying the correct amount in property taxes, both residential homeowners and investors.
So essentially, though, but sometimes people are overpaying on their property taxes. Like, this is designed to save them money.
Yeah, I think most people are like myself, where they just assume that the county is quoting them the right amount and we pay that. I, like many people, didn't realize that there could be errors in that estimate, correct?
Yeah, so
Is that what you run into a lot? People have no idea?
I would say 80% of people have no idea. They don't know if they're actually paying the right amount. They trust the government for the most part until someone like myself comes up and notifies them, hey, you're actually not paying the right amount. What do you want to do?
Yep. And so without low prop tax, how would somebody go about adjusting their property taxes?
Yeah, so people can go and appeal property taxes themselves, but the problem is the county makes it really difficult for the most part. There's lots of forms. You have to be an expert in tax law and also in real estate. And there's about 13 different forms that you have to go and fill out. You have to do market research. You have to build a case. And then you have to submit this big package to the county assessor's office. And then you might even have to go stand in court and defend why you should be paying less in property taxes. So it's pretty intimidating for someone to go and do that. And the government makes it this way just so they're not losing tax revenue.
Yeah. So I was in a homeowner's house recently, and they didn't speak English. It was the son. They were some form of Asian, and the son spoke English, but the parents didn't. And they had lived in this house for 25, 30 years. So the house was paid off, but the property taxes were just killing them. And they were basically in tears when, hey, that's why they invited me over. They thought I could help them lower their property taxes because I was a real estate agent. They thought I could help them through that process. But this is a real issue for a lot of people. The house is paid for, but the property taxes are now a monthly payment that is going out and has gone up for a lot of families. So now that low prop tax exists, this is something that I can now refer to people in that situation and just say, hey, go on there. And so if they go to lowproptax.com, what's the next step? Like, how do you make this complicated, complex process simple for them?
Yeah, so the first thing that we always do is we educate our customer. So we'll educate them on what property taxes are and why they should appeal, and some reasons typically on why they would appeal. And then our website explains all those things, and if they want to move forward, then they can go ahead and start an appeal on the website. So we have an interactive tool as well on our website that people can go and type in their property address and kind of see what areas there are for reductions in their property taxes too.
So they can just put it in, and then it gives them an idea of the potential savings, and if they want to proceed, then they can? Or?
Correct.
Okay. So they don't even have to pay any money to see if it's worth their time. They can just start the process and then make an educated decision from there.
Correct.
Great. And
we don't take cases that we won't save anybody money either, so we don't just take their money.
Oh, nice. What was the
that's
website
really
again?
cool.
It's lowproptax.com.
Lowproptax.com. All right, while you guys are talking, I'm gonna go on there and see
if you can save some.
if I can save some money.
There you go. And so when people go on there, like what are some stories? What are some things that you've seen, like when people have gone on to lowproptax.com and entered their information? Have you been able to save people a lot of money? Like what does that look like?
Yeah, so recently we actually saved a wildfire client. We reduced their value about $1 million on their property from $1.4 million to $400,000. Wow. And essentially that was about $8,000 a year in property tax savings, which was literally life-changing. And on the call that we had, whenever we notified them, they actually started crying about it because it's such life-changing, that amount of money that they're saving. So
I'm doing the math right now. 8,000 divided by 12. Dang, that's like $670 a month that they're saving.
Yep.
Wow. And so they not I shouldn't say saving, that they were overpaying.
Yes. Yeah.
Because the government had not properly reassessed the value of that property.
Yeah. In that case, their home was damaged by a wildfire, and the county didn't go and update the valuation of the property, even though it had been damaged by this fire. They were no longer living there. So essentially, it was overvalued the entire time until actually someone told them about our services. We got in contact with them. We moved forward, and then they got a check just recently. So
wow. And so that was for a fire victim. Are you guys doing anything in like Southern California with the Palisades, or what's that look like?
So down in the Palisades right now, we're working with the California Fire Safe Council, which we're a trusted vendor for them. There's a lot of companies that are kind of preying on fire victims down there, and we're not one of them. We're actually having the Fire Safe Council, which is a state-backed nonprofit, pushing our brand in front of all those victims to help them start the process with appealing their property taxes based on the damage that was done to their properties. We can appeal a lot more than damage too, but a damage is one of the easier ones. There's also things like noise pollutants. So if you live next to a highway, construction zones, quality of life issues. If, for example, you are a homeowner and right next door you have barking dogs that are barking all the time, you could use that as reasons to appeal. There's lots of reasons on how to appeal and reduce your value of your property, air quality, all those things.
Wow. And so you're not necessarily like you said, you're not running ads, campaigning down there. You're just you're the quality of your product is such that the state is saying, hey, if you guys want to save on property taxes, reach out to these guys.
Yeah, we have coordinators, liaisons essentially that are down there spreading our brand, along with some other companies as well, that they trust us. So the people down there will trust those liaisons and what they're saying as well.
Wow. And so if somebody, they go to lowproptax.com, they fill out the initial intake form, they see that they can save some money. How long does it take for once they say, hey, let's do this, to the process being completed?
Typically, it takes about 30 days to get all the information we need. We'll get photos. We have a call with them. We understand their point of view, because the property owner is actually the best source of information because they're the one that lives there day in and day out. So we'll take all of that information. We'll take photos, videos, and then we'll pull a lot of different data sets that we have as well. And then we'll combine all that. We'll make a very compelling case, and then we'll submit that. And we have a dollar amount that we'll put on there as well based on our math.
So based on your math, a dollar amount of what the property should be valued at?
Correct.
Got it. And so it takes 30 days about to gather all this info and then submit it.
That specifically is for like a calamity appeal, for a disaster appeal. Regular property tax appeals, you can only submit them one time a year, which is typically from October, August to November. So you only get that one time frame every single year to submit those.
Okay, so if somebody reaches out to you in January or March, you'd be like, hey guys, let's put together a game plan, and then we'll submit it when the window opens up.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. So if somebody did begin the process, I'm just trying to figure out like how much easier this is using your company versus trying to go do it themselves. But you guys offer, actually that's a good point. You guys actually offer both services, like a do-it-yourself and then like a concierge, like done-for-you type program, right?
Yes, yeah. So we're rolling out the DIY. That's going to be coming out in the next probably 2 months, where if they don't want to move forward with using our services, if they're the kind of person that wants to do it themselves, that's fine. We're actually going to have a section where they can go and enter all their information. We can pull a lot of different data sets, and we can build a case for them essentially, and then they can put it together, enter form fields, and then they can submit it themselves and save money that way too.
Okay. So you're rolling that out in a couple months, but right now you have that concierge program. What is that? What are the typical costs for like a homeowner?
Yeah, so for residential, 1 to 4 doors essentially. So single family or multifamily up to 4 units, we charge $199 up front plus 25% of what we save the client. And then for our investor side of the house, we have $50 per door and 10% of the savings on the back end.
Okay, so but you're not charging them anything if you can't save them money.
Correct.
Okay, so that $199 for the residential folks, and then 25% of the savings, is that ongoing, like every year, or is that just a one-time payout?
That's just a one-time thing. Yep.
Okay.
So they get all the savings for the continuous years.
So, for example, that person that had the value reduction from $1.4 million to $400,000, it saved them $8,000. They paid $199, and then they paid you, whatever that is, $2,000.
Yeah, I think
out of the savings. But now they get to save. You know, year one they're saving $6,000, so that's $500 a month they're saving, and then year two bumps up to about $660, $670 a month, moving forward. How often do you recommend somebody? So let's use that same family as an example. It's been reassessed now at $400,000. How long does it take for them to typically come back, and it make sense for them to reassess the value? Like, is this every 5 years, every 10 years? Like, what does that look like?
So our system, what we're doing right now is we're actually tracking, so we can find out with all of our clients that we have if their taxes raise outside of like 2%, which is Prop 13 in California, or in different states too. If we see a spike, anything over like 5%, then it's going to get flagged, and we're going to reach out to the property owner. So they don't have to essentially do it themselves or monitor that. We're going to monitor it for them free of charge, and we're going to notify them, hey, we might need to appeal because your property taxes have raised X amount, and this is not normal.
Well, that's really cool. That's really cool. So it's like you create the account, you go through the process, and now you're in low prop taxes system, and they'll just send you notification if it makes sense to potentially appeal.
Correct. Yeah.
That's really cool.
And then we also have our email newsletter where we're educating clients too. If they go and they do certain things, then we can appeal as well. So if they're adding like additional square footage, if they're pulling new permits that trigger a reassessment, things of that sort, they can see a property tax increase, and we can appeal those as well, depending on the factors.
Incredible. Well, hey, when we come back, we're going to talk about, like, I'm sure some people are listening and thinking, hey, is this legal? Like, why is the government so wrong on these values? And we're going to cover that right after this.
Hello, my name is David Webb, and I'm the CEO and founder of Low Prop Tax. For 8 years, I defended my country on the battlefield. Now, I'm fighting a new battle, taking on broken tax systems and putting hard-earned money back in the hands of the people. If you think you're overpaying on property taxes, check out lowproptax.com.
The website again is lowproptax.com. Low, L-O-W, prop, P-R-O-P, tax, T-A-X.com. Let David Webb, again, he's a United States Air Force veteran, spent 8 years protecting our country. Let him and his team help you save money on your property tax. Go to the website lowproptax.com.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
So, I mean, this is a real estate show. We're not trying to, get political in all of this.
Why not?
Why not?
Everything's political.
Everything is political. Man, you just go to a family function and, hey, I thought we were here for the kids. Nope,
Right.
It's political. But it's just fascinating to me what all of the savings and all the waste that had. So on one hand, you have waste from the government, and on one hand, you have savings like with Doge and things like that. How is it that
Wait, who are we talking with?
we're talking with David Webb?
David Webb.
David Webb. He's like the Elon Musk
That's right.
of property taxes.
Waving around
I'm
a
looking
chainsaw when it comes to your property taxes.
I am looking at his website, and it is stunning. I am a harsh critic, but like on here it says 86% success rate, no savings, you don't owe anything, no savings, no fee, expert representation, lowproptax.com. By the way, I'm not paid to say anything. You didn't even buy me a drink or a cigar at the
You're
at
the one
mixer.
coming offering gifts.
Yeah.
You know?
This is just incredible that the government is charging people incorrectly, and there's up until now been no recourse. Like, why are they so wildly inaccurate with their property values?
So the government, county assessors all across the nation, they use outdated taxing systems that are essentially 40 to 45 years old. But it's just like the IRS. The system's so big now, they can't change it. They can't upgrade it because it would be a catastrophic failure. So there's a lot of cracks right now in their taxing systems that causes a lot of overvalues of properties. So it's not entirely their fault, assessors, they can't see everything. And, they try to educate homeowners and property owners the best they can, but it's also not in their best interest to do that because then they're losing their tax base. So
it's broken. They know it's broken, but they're not too incentivized to fix it.
correct.
Got it. But you have now created this system, this process that 86, according to your website, 86% of the time, you are saving people money.
Yeah, so we find those cracks in their systems. We know we can go and tell what a property is overvalued by and why, depending on what factors it's exposed to. So also, I didn't talk about this too much, but on the investor side, actually. So if you go and you buy an investment property and then you're putting a lot of money into it, you're renovating it, that whole time where that property is vacant and what you're renovating it with, we can actually use all of that to reduce the property taxes for that amount, and also what the repairs were. A lot of people don't know that whenever they're doing like buy and holds or rental properties, large apartment syndications. So
yeah, I could see this being a more difficult conversation with like a typical homeowner saying, hey, you know what, we can save you money, and watching television, getting on social media, listening to the radio, you're constantly being sold. Driving down the road and you're seeing billboards, you're constantly being sold stuff, so the consumer's a little bit more hesitant. But I could see this being a home run with investors. They're like, absolutely, sign me up. I know my property assessment is wrong. How do I fix it? And but so you do a lot of work with investors, correct?
yeah, about 70% of our customers are investors, from multifamily units all the way up to 100-unit apartment complexes all across the nation. So.
And then the same thing with them. Once they're in the system, they'll get notified if their property qualifies for a reassessment.
Yeah, we'll monitor the tax situation with their property, and if we see anything that's out of spec, then we're going to go and notify that property owner that we may need to go and do a property tax appeal.
Okay. And so just so we're clear, like this is not just single family homes, but this is also like commercial type properties as well?
Yeah, right now we're focused just on apartments and multifamily. In the future, we're going to expand out into land and industrial and commercial office space, things of that sort, but we're not there yet.
Okay. So, but if you have apartments, if you have houses, like go to lowproptax.com and see how much money you can save. I mean, 86% of the time, that's worth 5 minutes. How long does it take for them to fill out, because it says right here, start your appeal. How long does it take for them to fill out that form?
Yeah, it takes about 3 minutes to go and fill out some information. And then after that, we do some back-end processes where we go and find out their tax situation essentially, and then we'll schedule a follow-up call with them, and then we'll get some more information. They go to a portal, they upload like any appraisals, tax documents, rent rolls, damage, repairs, anything like that. They upload that, and then it's pretty much hands-off after that for the property owner.
So your software can read the documents?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, cool. And you were talking too about how like just growing this company, because I mean, who doesn't want to save money, right? Growing this company, getting plugged in with title companies, so that way whenever somebody buys a property, this is now a value add for that title company to say, hey, they're basically sharing the information with you, right, and seeing if they can qualify for some savings.
Yeah, so our growth strategy for our company is actually we want to get to where we integrate our workflow of spotting these properties that are overassessed. We want to integrate that into the closing process at title companies, and we'll do a revenue share with those title companies, and then we can also upsell our services to every single property that qualifies. And this makes the title company actually stand out among other title companies because now they're able to provide more value to their clients than other title companies. It's a very competitive market for them. And the same thing for real estate agents and mortgage loan brokers as well. We offer referral partner programs like that where we do a revenue share with them too to offer more value to their clients.
Got it. And just for the record, I am not part of that program. This is the first I'm hearing of it. But so let's say somebody's buying a house and the title company is affiliated with you. Is that an extra fee in the escrow process, or is like how are your services paid for?
Yeah, so in that process, ideally it would all be at closing where they would pay our fee at closing, get all the docs signed. It's just much more convenient and less touch points for them to go and do that information, fill out those forms right at closing, than to go do it another time separately. So it's just more convenient for the buyer. Got
it. And then if there's no savings to be had, how would that work?
There wouldn't be any fees, or if we charge them, we'll refund them.
Okay. And then the great news is now they're in the system, so if an activity takes place where the property tax is increased by a certain amount, their account will be flagged. They'll be notified that they may be eligible to appeal.
Correct.
This is so freaking cool. Like, you found a need.
It's a very unique business and industry to get involved in. So I'm curious, like, how old are you?
I am 29.
You're 29 years old. So is this something you thought of while you were in high school? How do you get involved in something like this? How did you get started?
Yeah, so essentially I was a property owner. Whenever I was about 18, I bought my first property.
Wow, 18.
See, people say you can't. Home ownership's out of reach, and then here's an 18-year-old.
Now that's a whole other story. How did you get involved at 18 years old?
Yeah, so came from a poor family. I didn't really have money, but I knew I didn't want to repeat that for my life. I knew I wanted to create some kind of generational wealth for my family. And what I did is I started educating myself on how to make money. I did that for about a year. I read hundreds of books, and essentially I found real estate. But then the problem was, okay, well, real estate probably costs the most out of all of these things. I don't know how I'm going to do this. And then I got really resourceful, and I found out about government grants. So I actually went and I applied for government grants. I got 2 of them, filled out the forms myself, and I got like $50,000 from the government to go and buy a property in a specific area in Illinois is where I was living at the time. And I went and I bought in this area. I bought a property right behind a major college. So that was one of the zones I could buy in, and I bought it there. Wow. And what I did is I rented out the top 2 rooms to college students. I slept in the basement, and then I was cash flowing pretty heavy then.
Oh, my gosh.
And
at 18.
Yep.
Wow.
And then I took that, and I bought another property. All the savings from that, I bought a flip, and then I was sleeping there, working on it every single day, swinging the hammer, just trying to build some wealth for myself. And I just kept on rinsing and repeating that until I worked my way up to about 28 properties.
Wow,
do you still own the 28?
I sold a bunch of them to start another company, but I do have 6 that are fully no mortgage on them. I paid them all off. So.
Nice.
Wow,
this
good
guy
for you.
Figured it out. But we hear these stories a lot, how they're coming from nothing, and they've got that fire in them, and they want to do something. And you hear great stories about that's the American spirit. That's what's so inspiring about this country is that kind of attitude and spirit of learning that, you know, I can do more, I can do better.
And I like that you came from nothing and you said, hey, this is not, like, I'm going to change this. Like, it wasn't, you weren't the victim in that situation. Like, you were determined to change it, and you changed it fast. 18, and now you're 29. How long did it take you to have the 28 units?
I was 24 when I had those units, and then actually after that, I went and I partnered with some people, and I bought a 165 unit apartment complex in Indiana at 25 years old.
So 25. Okay.
Incredible.
Wow. And so this also adds some color to the situation, because now you're like, have all these properties, you're paying property taxes. Like, this isn't right.
Right.
So is that kind of what was the genesis for low prop tax?
Yeah, so essentially how this whole company started in the very beginning, one of my properties, I went and I reviewed the property tax card because I'm a curious person. So I went and I reviewed it, and I was looking on it, and it said that one of my properties had a full HVAC system, and I knew that it had window units. So it had window AC units. It didn't have a full HVAC system, and the difference in price there between a window units and an HVAC system is about $50,000. So I called the county up. I was like, hey, I see this on my property tax card. It says it has a full HVAC system. This isn't right. And I showed them pictures. I have window units. I always have. And what they did is then they're like, oh, our bad, sorry. They refunded me for a year, but not the 5 years that I had owned it. They only adjusted it for 12 months, which I thought was kind of wrong because it was their mistake to begin with. But I was happy to get a refund, and then I started checking all my other properties, and I started finding other mistakes too. One of my properties, they thought a portable garage like you buy at Home Depot was a permanent garage on a structure.
Yeah.
That was like an additional $400 a month. Sorry, not a month, a year. That I was paying for that, so it got that adjusted off. There's another one. Well, that's when I started really finding out like more creative things where, oh, I have an old roof that needs to be repaired. I can actually appeal the property value because the roof needs to be repaired. I don't have the money to do it right now, so I can reduce the value of the property until I get that repaired. I started finding out things like that. And then over the next 5 or 6 years, I started just helping out my friends because I got good at the process. Like, oh, I could reduce your property taxes. So I kind of did as a side hustle for additional income. And then I started some additional businesses in that time. So I became very business savvy and understanding on the business side. And then AI really started coming to form, and I spotted how this could become a very large company by speeding up what is today a very, very manual process and turning it all into data and automation. And that's exactly what we're doing now. We're automating a system that's 50 years old that's done on essentially Excel and pen and paper.
Wow. Incredible.
Yeah.
So all because you wanted to buy the first house, you got the first house, some grant money, age 18, and then you were wise enough to keep the velocity of that money going into future properties. If that had never happened, it's unlikely you would have even noticed this problem, right?
Correct.
Incredible.
What were the grants that you applied for?
So the grants, one was a grant through HUD. I believe that was like $25,000 for first-time home buyers. And then there was another grant that was specific for military, first responders, paramedics, stuff like that, for another $25,000 to buy in certain neighborhoods that they want those presences in. So I found those, and I applied for them, and then I got $50,000 to buy my first property. So, and I took that and I bought my first property right beyond college.
It just hit me, like, so you bought your first house at 18, but weren't you in the military?
Yes. Yep.
So when did you join the military and when did you get out?
I joined at 18 and I got out at 26. So the whole time I had a full 9-to-5 job, and then from my 5 to midnight is when I would work my butt off on the properties. Like, I would sleep at my rental properties working on them, go in the morning, go to work, come back, sleep on a mattress inside the property, go and work, swing the hammer. And I did that for years until I was able to start hiring people to do the work for me. So I put in the work. I put in the sweat equity in all my proproperties. I watched YouTube videos on how to do it. I didn't know how to do these things, but I watched videos. So.
Incredible.
Next level.
Didn't even, because I was going to ask you that. Where'd you learn to do construction? Oh, watched YouTube videos.
YouTube University.
Oh my God.
So again, like this is, I mean, don't get me wrong, low prop tax, freaking incredible. But the guy behind low prop tax, David Webb,
right?
Like this is a story I think more people need to be aware of.
That's why I like to hear these stories because that's how I determine whether or not a business is going to be successful. Because you can have a guy who has an interesting idea, but if at the core, and that's how they determine folks, like we never watch Shark Tank, right? A lot of times those billionaires will not invest in the company, they invest in the people because they know that that person's going to be successful whatever they do. And that's this guy right here. You know, just based on what his DNA is, that he's going to be successful in whatever he does.
Yeah, I just learned something. You're not investing in the company, you're investing in the people.
That's right.
I just learned something. Well, David, thank you so much for being on the show today. Do you have any last bits of information you want to share with the audience?
I would highly recommend, if you think that you're overpaying on your property taxes, just go and call the county. Ask them questions about your property tax bill. If you're getting supplemental
Forget
tax
that.
bills.
Go to lowproptax.com. Just
That's right.
enter your information and see if it's worth anything. And if it is, great. You're going to save some money. If it's not, it doesn't cost you anything but 3 minutes of your time. So thank you so much for being on the show, David.
Thank you. Hello, my name is David Webb, and I'm the CEO and founder of Low Prop Tax. For 8 years, I defended my country on the battlefield. Now, I'm fighting a new battle, taking on broken tax systems and putting hard-earned money back in the hands of the people. If you think you're overpaying on property taxes, check out lowproptax.com.
The website again is lowproptax.com. Low, L-O-W, prop, P-R-O-P, tax, T-A-X.com. Let David Webb, again, he's a United States Air Force veteran, spent 8 years protecting our country. Let him and his team help you save money on your property tax. Go to the website lowproptax.com.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
All right, so on today's show, we have none other than Jason Bourne.
Jason
Correct?
Bourne, the real Bourne.
Just kidding. But what's your full name?
My name is David Michael Webb.
David Michael Webb. And if you've watched any of the Jason Bourne movies, his real name is
David Michael Webb.
David Michael Webb.
And
And talk to us about the similarities between you and Jason Bourne.
Yeah, so Jason Bourne was actually in the military. I was in the military. He's in the Air Force serving in Europe. I was in the Air Force serving in Europe. So people call me the real life Jason Bourne now.
Wow.
That's awesome. And now you speak 7 languages as well.
Yes.
To boot.
Yep.
Incredible. And so why we wanted to have another conversation with you is your story. We didn't realize, we thought we were going to be talking about property taxes, but as to what you mentioned, Matt, it's the person behind the company that determines its success, and your life story has been, it's just, the more questions we were asking off the air, the more like, hey, can we share this? So let's just start at the beginning. You were 3, and what was your home life like?
Yeah, so essentially I got raised in a very bad and troublesome home life ever since I was pretty much born. Both parents were addicted to drugs. They were going in and out of prison. They were on the street. They were homeless. I was being raised in that environment by random people, abused, all of those things, everything above, right? So for most of my childhood.
Heartbreaking. And so you go through childhood, and then something happened around in high school. Was it 11th grade? Like, what happened there?
Well, there's actually something. I actually failed first grade because of low attendance in my first grade school, essentially because my dad was in prison at the time, and I was living with my mom and her boyfriend. And her boyfriend actually locked me in the house in my room for almost a solid year. And
What?
my mom would sneak food to me through the HVAC register vent underneath. And I failed first grade, and I went through most of school all in a grade below, being taller, being older, being more mature, essentially. And it kind of like going through grade school, like being older, people asking why you failed, you have to make up reasons all the time why you didn't make it, and I never told anyone the truth. But so I have a life full of experiences like that, really bad experiences growing all the way up until eventually I left. I found a way out through the military, which honestly saved my life.
But also there was somebody who came along that helped you at least find a place to sleep for a little over a year, right? That was your mailman?
Yeah, so the last time that my dad went to prison, which was in high school, essentially I got kicked out of the house, and he was living with his girlfriend at the time, and I got kicked out, and my mailman, who I had a good relationship with him, and he would give me rubber band balls and stuff, and we would talk, and he found me and basically took me in as one of his own. And, I consider him my dad,
Really?
now, and we're very close. We're like best friends today as well. And
so you guys are still in contact?
Yes.
That's awesome. And you lived with him for a period of time when you were finishing out of high school?
Yes. Yep.
So he came in your life, you got this new dad, then you joined the military, and you said the military saved your life. Like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, so the military was a way out. It was a way out to remove myself from the bad situations that I was always in, the people that I was around,
a new
drugs.
Environment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
structure.
I was able to go and get
yeah.
discipline, structure, routine, and also experiences that you would never get even in a normal life. Like, I've been to over 40 countries. I speak all these languages. I've had all these experiences. I've been able to do these things that someone with my background would never be able to have the opportunity to do.
Incredible. And so what if somebody is in a situation right now that kind of sounds similar to the one you were in, what would your advice be to those people?
Yeah, my advice would be to, there's always a way out. You just have to be smart. You can make your own decisions even at a young age, even at 5 years old. You can run away. You can get out of that situation. You don't have to trauma bond with your parents. You don't have to rely on them. You can go to your friends. You can talk to them. You can find God. You can find religion.
So there's power in that. You're not trapped, essentially what I'm hearing.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, and change your environment. And then to lighten it up a little bit, so Valor and I visited all 50 states trying to figure out a place to live. And we chose the Sacramento region. We moved here in January of 2018. We absolutely love it. You being in Sacramento is a choice as well, right? Like, you were trying to look for a good place to launch your businesses. And how is it you stumbled across Sacramento?
Yeah, so I had visited Sacramento for a period of time before getting out of the military, and I went here specifically because I thought this was the best place in the entire country to go and start businesses due to the ecosystem hub they have here, the startup culture, Silicon Valley, Palo Alto, the Bay Area, all these large companies that have been started here. And I wanted to be a part of that movement. So I packed up all my stuff and I moved over here. And now I've started a couple companies. I grew and scaled an archery company from nothing to now one of the largest archery companies in the region. And I have low prop tax, which saves people money on their property taxes. That one's founded here as well.
I think I met you at Crawdads. Were you at a Crawdads mixer once?
Yes, I've been to.
Were you dressed
Crawdads
up
many
as
times.
like an archer?
Yes, I have a personal brand that I built, Robin Hood, for my archery company, and that's one of the primary growth drivers of that company. Was I personally branded myself as Robin Hood. I wore a large Robin Hood hat in a room. Everybody would talk to me because they said, quote, "I need to meet that guy." And that's what grew my archery company as large as it is now. And now I'm about to sell that company too, to focus on low prop tax.
Incredible. I didn't realize you were the same guy because you weren't dressed up as an archer.
I have many brands, Jason Bourne, Robin Hood.
Right.
That's so freaking cool. So I just want to say thank you again for being on the show today. Guys, low prop tax, just fill it out. Just go there, check it out. If not for no other reason, support a guy who's pulled himself up by his bootstraps and is helping other people. So thank you again.
Hello, my name is David Webb, and I'm the CEO and founder of Low Prop Tax. For 8 years, I defended my country on the battlefield. Now, I'm fighting a new battle, taking on broken tax systems and putting hard-earned money back in the hands of the people. If you think you're overpaying on property taxes, check out lowproptax.com.
The website again is lowproptax.com. Low, L-O-W, prop, P-R-O-P, tax, T-A-X.com. Let David Webb, again, he's a United States Air Force veteran, spent 8 years protecting our country. Let him and his team help you save money on your property tax. Go to the website lowproptax.com.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
Well, that was an incredible interview.
Yeah,
with
what
David
a guy.
Webb. Yeah.
Yeah. Incredible childhood and
Well, I wouldn't say incredible.
Well, incredibly tragic.
Incredibly tragic, heartbreaking.
And then just picking himself up on his own, basically self-taught to create these businesses and change the trajectory of his life from what it could have been, you know?
Yep.
His whole family, even grandparents, drug addicts in prison, and now he's owned multiple properties, multiple businesses, went into the Air Force for 8 years. So what an incredible story.
Crazy.
You know
Locked in
that
a
guy's
room.
going to have success, whatever he does.
Locked in a room for 1 year.
Yeah.
That is insane. That's whatever. But on a different note, so there's this guy named Ed Milet. Ed Milet's big into one of his phrases is do one more, max out, do one more. And typically it's one person that can change the trajectory of a family's life.
Yeah.
For good or bad. And, David has the potential, if he ever, has kids or whatever, to be the person that changes the trajectory of his family's life. So his parents may have been in prison and druggies, but he's going to change the trajectory.
That's right.
But as far as real estate goes, in the real estate news, there are some things that are taking place that are changing the trajectory of real estate potentially. So we talked about, how Zillow is trying to become this end-to-end user experience.
We're not going to talk about Zillow again this week, are we?
We're not talking about Zillow because what's interesting is Rocket Mortgage. So there's been two main, heavyweights duking it out in the world of lending. United Wholesale Lending, UWL, United Wholesale Mortgage. I get the two mixed up. There's a local guy here who uses a similar brand. UWM, United Wholesale Mortgage, and Rocket. And if you are a broker with UWM, you cannot use the products. You can't broker out to Rocket. They don't allow it. There's some people who've figured out some workarounds. I get it, but typically speaking, oil and water. And out of left field, it feels like Rocket Mortgage has just come and they bought Redfin.
Okay.
Out of left field. And now all of a sudden, one of the top real estate websites in the country is now owned by this loan company.
Right.
Rocket recently purchased Mr. Cooper. I'd never heard of Mr. Cooper, but Mr. Cooper is the largest.
It was a TV show in the 90s,
Oh, it
Hanging
was?
with Mr. Cooper.
Okay. All right. I'll take your word on it.
But it's also what kind of company?
So Mr. Cooper, as far as real estate goes, is the largest loan servicer in the country. So what that means is 1 out of 6 loans that are, somebody's paying a mortgage on, 1 out of 6 of them is held by Mr. Cooper.
Okay.
So what Rocket has done effectively is they have now bought this massive billboard to generate leads
Right.
for their loan company, and now they have this cash flowing machine of Mr. Cooper where these loans are being serviced month after month after month.
Mm-hmm.
And the goal is believed that they are now trying to create similar to Zillow. And by the way, Rocket Mortgage is like twice as big as Zillow. So as far as market cap, so now there's this entity that's potentially larger than Zillow, playing in Zillow's sandbox, trying to create a competing end-to-end customer experience. And what that has to do, so for real estate agents, there's a lot of, are they going to compete with us? Are they going to edge the real estate agents out? But I'm more interested in how it affects the consumer, because the consumer is the one that has the final say.
Right.
And I was literally just, driving home one day, and I was like, what industry genuinely has an end-to-end user experience?
Well, that's the ideal goal, I think.
I know, but is it a goal? So is an ideal like your horizon, something that you'll aim for but never actually reach, or is it something tangible that these companies can pull off? That's the main. I think that's the $1 trillion question.
These companies, they look at certain aspects of what they do, and they're limited at first on what they're able to do, whether it's just Redfin, just providing leads to different homes or advertising homes for sale. And obviously, as a business grows, they want to stop outsourcing all of those different departments of their business, right? Their industry per se.
Yeah.
Their industry is bigger than just, when someone buys or sells a home, there's lots of different transactions that take place, right?
Oh, there's lots of people involved.
Right. There's lots of people involved, different expertise. And so if you're able to, under one umbrella, under one roof, handle all those different departments, like a department store, right? You have a Macy's and you have a men's clothing and women's clothing, baby clothing, furniture. You have all these different departments. Why not house them all under one roof and you bring in all that revenue instead of outsourcing it to different companies? Because that's the goal.
Because the only way that I'm envisioning this working is if there is no other option. So Macy's is not doing very good right now.
Well, yeah.
Sears,
brick and mortar retail in general,
Kmart. I mean, even Amazon is getting some threats, right? And so, and the reason why they have threats is because people want options.
They do. That's true.
And if you're creating an end-to-end ecosystem, you're removing options for the consumer.
Well, just because Rocket Mortgage is creating an end-to-end experience doesn't mean there's not other options, but some people want simplicity. Some people want to just go to one person and can you just handle it all for me?
I know,
right?
But is it worth billions of dollars for the some people that want that? Most people want options. Like when I sit down.
Why do they want options?
Because they want to shop around, make sure they're getting the best rate, make sure it's the best fit for them. They don't want to feel like cornered or forced into having to do something against their will. Even if it might be the right choice for them, they want to have a say in that choice. And you remove that freedom of choice by saying, hey, you know what? We're going to help you find the house. By the way, we're going to give you a discount if you use our lender. By the way, we're also going to give you a discount if you use our title company.
There you go.
But people are like, well, I don't want to use your lender. I want to use my lender.
Well, they're not forced to, are they? They're not forced to.
So they're
just given, again, an option.
They're given an option. But for example, like JJ, fantastic lender. JJ Mack with American Pacific Mortgage, incredible lender. He has a program right now that nobody else offers where you can actually buy the next house that you're going to move into before selling your existing home. This isn't a bridge loan.
Right.
This is like nobody else has this product. Rocket doesn't have this product. So if you're going to enter into Rocket's ecosystem now, you're going to have to use whatever products they have. And that restricts the consumer's ability to choose. So Rocket is not going to be everything to everybody all the time.
Right.
We were just talking with David, and he was talking about how you have to niche down. They are not. They're trying to, instead of excelling in one area or two areas, they're trying to excel in all of them. And I cannot think of a company that has done that.
I think there's a lot of companies that do that maybe not in real estate per se, not in the real estate industry, but there's a lot of companies that provide multiple types of service. Costco, for instance, you can go to Costco and you can get your grocery shopping done. You can get gas. You can get your tires replaced. You can go to the optometrist, and they've got a lot of different services
they do.
At Costco all under one roof. And that's why a lot of people like Costco. I can get all this stuff done and I don't have to go to different places. And I think there's a customer a demographic who's interested in some simplicity like that. Hey, I don't have to go to a lender. I have to go to meet with all these different people. I can meet with one person and they can handle it all for me. I mean, they're not dumb. They got to understand there's a marketplace for it.
But Costco isn't the only option.
Right, I get that. And
there's not like a dominant in order for this to like really pay off for these people, they want to have an end-to-end consumer experience. They have to have a significant amount of market share. Like, just because Costco provides it doesn't mean Costco's excelling at it. Like, you can go to Sam's Club. Like, you can
get better tires. You can get someplace else.
You can get better
maybe.
tires. You can get a better deal.
Right.
And there are
better produce at Rayleigh's or Bel Air.
And so all that to say is, it may work out for Rocket. It may work out for Zillow. I don't know. But at the end of the day, what I think the consumer is going to want is options, and by definition, creating this end-to-end. So, for example, Apple has a very, very small, they create an end-to-end experience, right? In their suite of services, probably better than anybody else.
Yeah.
But they represent a small fraction of smartphones and PCs used globally.
Right.
right? And so
Same thing with like Xfinity, right? Xfinity is involved in so many different aspects of entertainment, whether it's television, film production with Universal Studios. They're involved in cell phones. They're involved in internet. They make phones.
Yeah.
They're involved in so many. Now, is it the best quality and options in every one of those departments? Absolutely not. But like you said, they offer those package deals where you can get, we're going to give you, streaming and Peacock and internet.
But
and all
I like the Apple example because there's very few people that want that. There's very few.
You think so?
Yeah, just based off market share. There's very few people that like market share being how many people have iPhones, how many people have MacBooks, iPads versus the Android, Samsung, PC products. And so I think there's just a very limited amount of people. And even within that Apple community, there's people who wish that they could have more options, but it's too much of a pain to leave that ecosystem. With real estate, it's not a pain to leave the ecosystem. You throw a rock, you hit 10 realtors. You know?
Good point.
So I think they're chasing the wrong thing. I wish everybody the best of luck. But if you're looking to buy or sell a house and you want a guaranteed offer on your home, you want
options.
You want options. So that's a great thing that we do. If you go to madeformorerealty.com, we're not giving you one cash offer. We're going to get you multiple cash offers. And if you don't like any of those, we can list your house the traditional route. So rather than have to, search around and look for people who may not be the most reputable, we have over 1,000 5-star Google reviews.
And you've got a variety of different options when it comes to lenders, right?
Lenders. And, at the end of the day, you expect more, you get more with our company. So just go to madeformorerealty.com and get your guaranteed offer today.
So guys, if you're looking for options like we were just talking about, nobody gives you more options than Johnny Jennings and his team at Made for More Realty. One example is they guarantee to give you at least 3 cash offers. That way you get at least 3 options, cash offers on your home in as-is condition. You don't have to do costly home repairs, none of those showings, no open houses. 3 cash offers at least on your home in as-is condition. Plus, they've got tons of connections to different vendors and different contractors if you do want to do those repairs on your home and sell it. So if you want options, nobody provides more than Johnny Jennings and his team at Made for More Realty. Hey, maybe that's why they have more 5-star Google reviews than anyone else in our market, over 1,000 of them. Here's what you got to do. Just Google Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty. One more time, Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty, and get more for your home.